Let's be real for a second. Is your clean girl aesthetic actually just high-interest credit card debt in a beige trench coat? I see you scrolling, feeling that middle-class shiver, that cold dread that if you don't buy the $80 cloud cream or the minimalist linen set, you'll suddenly become invisible. You aren't investing in your vibe, right? You're being hunted by algorithms that know your self-worth is currently tied to a checkout button. Let's expose the scam of looking wealthy while actually being one paycheck away from a total identity crisis. I know exactly what you're doing because I've seen the receipts. You're terrified of being average. To you, average is a death sentence, isn't it? It's the beige carpeted apartment, the generic department store jeans, and the absolute horror of owning a 2018 smartphone. So what do? You curate. You buy into the old money aesthetic because you're desperately trying to mask the fact that you have no money. It's a psychological scam, and honestly, you're falling for it every time you hit complete purchase. That $5,000 credit limit isn't a gift. It's a cage. While you're out here trying to look like a quiet luxury heiress, you're actually paying a 24.99% interest rate on a lifestyle you can't even afford. You're trading your actual future wealth for the temporary dopamine hit of not looking poor to strangers on the internet. Think about it. Why are you so scared of being basic? Because the marketing machine has convinced you that if you aren't elevated, you're failing. But let's look at the math, because the math doesn't care about your Pinterest board. If you're spending 40% of your take-home pay on maintenance, the hair, the nails, the seasonal wardrobe refreshes, you aren't wealthy. You're a high-end billboard for brands that don't know you exist. You're literally funding their stock prices with your future retirement savings. The middle-class shiver is that internal panic when you realize your entire aesthetic is a fragile glass house. One car repair or one unexpected medical bill, and the whole curated life facade shatters. You're living in a state of high-fashion hypervigilance, and honestly, it's exhausting, right? It's time to stop pretending that looking rich is the same thing as being rich, before your vibe leaves you completely broke and wondering where the last 5 years of your salary actually went. Let's get clinical for a second, because while you're busy trying to curate a life that looks expensive, the math is quietly burying you alive. Look, I need you to understand that real wealth is the silence of all the things you didn't buy. But you've been sold a lie that says staying quiet is only for people who can't afford to speak up. While you're spiraling over whether your apartment is mid-century modern enough or if your coffee table is aesthetic, the bank is quite literally laughing at your 24% APR. Think about that. We need to talk about the Wall of 72. It's a simple bit of math that influencers love to ignore while they're flashing their latest haul. If you took that $2,000 you just spent on a status bag, the one you convinced yourself was an investment piece, and you actually put it into a low-cost index fund with a modest 8% return, that money doubles every 9 years.
By the time you're 50, that bag didn't just cost you $2,000. It cost you $16,000 in lost freedom. You aren't some high-end curator, right? You're just a well-dressed worker bee, tirelessly pollinating someone else's garden of wealth. And it gets worse. Serious. If you put that purchase on a credit card and don't pay it off, the rule of 72 works against you with terrifying speed. At a 24% interest rate, the debt you owe doubles every 3 years. You are a compounding miracle for a multi-billion-dollar bank that views you as nothing more than a reliable stream of interest payments. I want you to look at your designer shoes and start seeing them for what they really are, the ghost of your future retirement. Every must-have trend is just another year you're sentencing yourself to stay at a desk you can't stand. But even that isn't the most dangerous trap your ego has set for you. There is a specific psychological trick retailers use to make you feel behind even when you're ahead, and it's why your savings account never seems to grow, no matter how much your salary increases.
So, look, since I've clearly offended your closet, let's talk about how I'm going to help you fix it with a savage reality check. We're calling this the recovery plan, and step one is implementing the ego tax. Look, I get it. You think you need that $200 vanity purchase because you had a hard week, or maybe because everyone at the office is carrying one, right? Fine, buy it. But here is the rule. You must instantly transfer a matching $200 into your brokerage account the second you hit checkout. If your heart stops at the thought of spending $400, then, well, I have news for you. You cannot afford the item. If you can't pay yourself as much as you pay a designer brand, you're just a volunteer spokesperson for a corporation that doesn't care if you ever retire. Step two is the 48-hour de-influence. I want you to go through your feed and ruthlessly unfollow every lifestyle creator who makes you feel like your life is a constant DIY project that needs more funding. These people aren't your friends, and they aren't goals. I mean, they are professional marketers who make you feel inadequate, so you'll buy the link in their bio. Stop letting people who get sent free products convince you to spend your hard-earned salary on things you'll forget about in 3 weeks. Step 3 is where it gets really uncomfortable. I need you to stop tracking your salary and start tracking your freedom ratio. I don't care if you make $150,000 a year. I want to know one thing. How many months can you survive if your boss fires you tomorrow? If that number is less than 6, you are in a state of financial emergency. I don't care if you're wearing $500 gold hoops and driving a car with heated seats. If you are one restructuring away from total panic, you aren't successful. You're just a well-dressed hostage. But even if you follow these steps, there is a much deeper reason why you feel the need to perform well for people you don't even like. It's tied to a specific type of money trauma that the middle class has been passing down for generations, making you believe that if you don't look rich, you're invisible. But wait, just wait until you see the actual math on what that visibility is costing your 60-year-old self. Let's run a little simulation for two 30-year-old women living in the same zip code, but in two entirely different and frankly terrifying universes.
First, meet Subject A. I mean, you know her. You probably follow her, right? She is the clean girl aesthetic personified. Her apartment is a beige sanctuary of curated clutter. Her skincare fridge is stocked with $90 serums. And her Instagram feed? It's a masterclass in quiet luxury. But let's look at the math the algorithm is desperately trying to hide. Subject A has exactly $0 in her savings account. I mean, she's carrying $5,000 in high-interest credit card debt just to maintain the vibe. She's paying 24% APR just to look like she's winning, while her actual net worth is a total black hole. She isn't successful. She's just a well-dressed marketing project for brands that don't even know she exists. Then there's Subject B. To the outside world, she's basic, right? She's driving a 10-year-old Toyota with a slight coffee stain on the upholstery. She buys the generic brand pasta and wears the same 3 pairs of high-quality, non-branded jeans she's had for 5 years. But here is the only number that matters. Her freedom ratio is at 48 months. If her boss decides to be a toxic nightmare tomorrow, or the industry shifts, she can literally walk out the door and not care about a paycheck for 4 entire years. When the recession hits, and trust me, it always does, Subject A becomes a hostage. She is a slave to her debt, paralyzed by the middle-class shiver, terrified that if she stops spending, people will realize she's actually, well, average. She has linked her entire soul to her shopping cart. Meanwhile, Subject B is dangerous to the corporate machine because she cannot be coerced. She owns her time, while Subject A just owns a bunch of overpriced candles and a mounting sense of dread. So, which one are you actually striving to be? Because the system is designed to exploit your psychology by convincing you that your identity is a product you have to buy.
It's time to decouple your soul from your Sephora receipt, don't you think? But that's not even the craziest part of the simulation. While Subject A is busy trying to look like she's made it, there's a specific psychological trap the banking industry has set up that ensures she never actually will. And honestly, you're probably falling for it every single time you check your banking app. Look, let's just stop the charade for a second, okay? I mean, that $1,200 titanium brick you just put on a monthly payment plan, it doesn't make you an insider, and it certainly doesn't make you wealthy. It just makes you a customer. I need you to realize that true wealth doesn't need some designer logo to scream for validation, right? It doesn't need to post a GRWM featuring 3 different credit cards just to feel relevant. Real wealth, it's the silence of a paid-off life. It's the absolute unshakable peace of mind that comes when you realize you can walk away from a toxic boss, a dead-end job, or any situation that drains you because you aren't financed to your eyeballs.
If your stomach is doing flips right now and you feel a little called out, well, good. That is the middle-class shiver finally leaving your body. It's that desperate Pavlovian need to look rich, while you're actually just drowning in what I call the ego tax. You've been paying that tax for years, right? Buying things you don't even like to impress people who honestly aren't even looking. It's time to stop performing wealth for an audience that doesn't care and actually start building it for the only person who does. You. Look, I want you to stop the performance today. Start by calculating your freedom ratio. How many months of pure, unadulterated freedom do you actually own if the paycheck stopped tomorrow? Serious. Tell me your ratio in the comments. And please, don't lie to yourself. Subscribe if you're finally ready to trade the status symbols for real strategy. I'll see you in the brokerage account.